Hey, it is Chef Rene Johnson here. I am the owner of Blackberry Soul Fine Catering. I am the owner of Studio Gallery Oakland and the creator of Catering in the Black, which is a platform built around the business behind catering. I am excited to bring to you Chef Mimi, one of the best chefs in the Bay Area, one of the top caterers in the Bay Area. And what we're doing tonight or this evening is we are talking about the catering business and what it is like to be an entrepreneur. I've been wanting to expose my journey and my experiences with the world so many times, and I had not done it yet. And I thought, what better way to do it than with Chef Mimi? I am going to let Chef Mimi introduce herself and tell you about what she wants to bring to the table as well. But we are going to be talking about some good stuff.
Thank you so much, Chef Rene. I really appreciate this opportunity. I so admire you as a queen in the Bay Area and a top chef and caterer as well. You said the key word was bringing it to the table, and that is the name of my cooking show. So I'm excited about that. But I just appreciate having you having me and creating this platform to be able to share with you and others.
Good. And you know what? I want to talk about, what's so amazing to me is that people tend to think that catering either has to stay really, really small, or they have no idea how wonderful and what a catering lifestyle or entrepreneurship can bring to you. I always think about the people who, they can cook and they're cooking for their families and they're cooking for their aunties and doing baby showers, and they have a gift, and thinking that they have to keep it there and not realizing that how being one of the top caterers in the Bay Area has brought opportunities to you and myself. The fact that, I've been in business for 12 years. And I have created a lifestyle for myself. I have been able to take care of my 10 grandchildren and my 3 children and given opportunities to so many people in my family and throughout the Bay Area and everywhere. And been able to, live in my dream house, drive my dream car, all based upon me making greens and red beans and rice and sweet potato waffles and hugging and kissing people and peach cobbler. I don't think people realize how big it really can be. So I would love for you to touch on that and how, most importantly, how you being a caterer has affected your life and what you've accomplished. Give yourself some kudos is what I want you to do.
Okay, well, thank you so much. After graduating from the Culinary Arts Academy in San Francisco, I immediately became a caterer. Just everybody in my family, when people hear you're a chef, they automatically think like, oh yeah, can you cater this? Can you cater that? So I was like, oh, this is great. And I was a single mom as well. So it really gave me the opportunity to kind of like not have to work, in an industrial kitchen where I'm working, for a restaurant and stuff like that. And catering gave me the lifestyle that I wanted, which was the freedom to be able to pick and choose where I was going, who I wanted to work for. Of course, in the industry, you do pay your dues where you start off with the smaller, $10 person or $10 plate. And, people will ask you to do this and that for a small amount. But as you start to define who you are, I think that's where I kind of found myself, and the freedom of the love for food, the love for people, the connections that I've had, and the opportunity of where catering has taken me. It's like you're around so many wonderful people, people who are learning through the journey of your food and how you express yourself, whether you're making soul food to, Asian fusion, whether you're, cooking for a baby shower or you're cooking for the president. I mean, there's so many opportunities to find who you are through this journey of food. And so as you were mentioning, how do we express this to get people to understand how they can move through this space? whether they're just cooking at home for their families. There is a business side to it, and then there's also, the home cook, I just want to do it for fun side to it. And I think, creating the opportunities to see the segue into the business side of being an entrepreneur in this space is where I'm super happy to have that conversation.
Oh, nice, 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 nice. Because you know what happens, and what I found is that I felt like there is so much talk and there's so much movement around the food itself. There's a vegan movement, there is a chocolate movement, there's a macaroni and cheese movement, there's an Asian fusion movement. There's all kind of movements, but there's no talk about what it is like to be a true caterer, what it is like to wake up in the morning and have the courage to be an entrepreneur. And make sure that you have enough clients to feed yourself, feed your children. Because I'm a single mother of 3 children. And when my grandbaby, my claim to fame is that when my grandbaby wants a princess dress, I'm able to send it to her because, her words are, "Grandma, I love you. Can you send me a princess dress?"
Aw.
And I'm like, absolutely. But people don't understand, or I want, not that people don't understand, I want people to know what it is like to share a day of a caterer, a top high-end caterer. And how do we move from, if you want to, from being just that family style catering into those corporate opportunities? Because once you get those corporate opportunities, it's no turning back. It's like, I know that for me, it was like a snowball effect. I did that one and it just kept rolling and rolling and rolling and rolling and rolling. And how do you fuse yourself over to that side and create what we have done, having a very successful catering company? Mimi, what I'd love for you to do is tell people how long you've had your business as well.
Okay, let's see. I guess I'll be dating myself. Well, I started in the food business in 1995. After graduating from culinary school, I was destined to find out who I was through food. I mean, obviously, when I went to school, it's a French culinary school, and so me not being a French or white male, I had to sort of figure out who I was in the space. And so there wasn't a lot of representation like there is now in terms of, there wasn't this diversity and inclusion movement and all that kind of stuff. It was just kind of come in and fit in and get where you are, and so it took me time to digest that and figure out, who I wanted to be in this space. Moving forward, I challenged myself into different things. I worked in a restaurant. I worked for other caterers. I think it's important to work underneath people so that you can see who you are and also see what's good and what's bad. Take that time to groom yourself and to put in the work. And so, starting off doing the home style cooking and stuff like that, moving on to saying, to being intentional. I was I figured out that I was so close to the tech space. In 2016, I started looking at all of the different diversity inclusion conversations, and I was like, you know what? I just need to focus in this one area. And so I decided to become a corporate chef after I had worked for Webvan, which was one of the first online tech food companies. It only lasted about 2 years, but they started with $9 billion, and we had, millions and millions of dollars for budgeting and stuff like that. So I was already familiar with tech corporate catering because I started out in that in 2002. But for my own business, I hadn't even had the idea to say, hey, focus towards this. And I think there wasn't as much opportunity because a lot of people weren't talking about being Black and being in business and, what it's like to be an entrepreneur. And so once that conversation started in tech, it was my end to say, you know what, let me do these events. And so I was invited to do an event for Twilio, and that event hosted pretty much all the tech companies came to that event, and they were a part of the D&I. And from there, it just like a wildfire. Like you said, it just kept going and going and going. And it's been, 5 years strong in just catering for this particular community. And then from there, I do high-end events that are small. And the last event I did was for Emerson Collective, which is the owner of Steve Jobs' wife. And so we've been doing these social equity dinners. And Steph Curry was the host of the last one that we did. And so we had really, really influential people there having this discussion around, being Black, supporting Black-owned businesses and the next step. So I'm very proud and happy to be a part of that. And I'm very happy that I get a chance to choose. So when you get to the point where you're like, you have the opportunity to choose what you want, what clients you want, then you become more and more intentional in who you are. You don't have to just take everything, so that's where I'm at now. But I had to pay my dues. I'm sure you know that as well,
Yes.
that there's a path to getting to that space.
So I'm going to ask your booty again.
Mm-hmm.
How long have you had your company? And the other thing is I want to ask you is, and the reason I'm asking you that, because I want to share with people the longevity of this business in this industry. Like I said, I've had my company for 12 years, and I know you have had yours longer than mine. And I think that's really amazing and encouraging. And it's so, uplifting to see us as Black women, as a woman, waking up in the morning and doing our business and our lives. So I'm going to ask you the number of years. And then the other thing, like I have a niche. I'm a niche caterer, and I know I'm a niche caterer. And I have my little niche, and it has taken me so far. My niche is, I'm known as a caterer who I always say my only requirement is that you make a lot of noise when you eat my food and you kiss me before you leave.
Aww.
That's and it's so funny. I did the All Stars one time, and I was the first time I was really I didn't know how I was going to kiss everybody because every fine football player stood in line before they but
that's not a bad thing.
Right, girl. I was like, oh, hey. But I'm known for that. And I'm also known for, my cobblers and my sweet potato waffles. And I'm a vegan soul food chef. So, people know for a fact that when they come to my events, yes, I'm going to give you a piece of protein because I'm a chef. And I feel like if you want a piece of fried chicken or, some fried fish or whatever you may want, you need to have it. And I think that everybody should have the experience of Blackberry Soul, whatever that may be. And I think that everybody as a guest should be able to eat. But I'm really known as being a vegan soul food chef. So I have a niche, and I want you to talk about, one, how long you've been how long you've had your company, and what are you known for in the catering industry? What do they line up for? They line up for Blackberry Soul's cobbler. They line up for them biscuits and that blackberry compote. They line up for it. They line up for them sweet potato waffles and that fried chicken.
Because I've done so many things within the industry, but when we're just talking about particularly catering, I would say around 15 years. 15 years in the catering business. And in terms of what do people line up, I think for me, the most important thing is not necessarily the food. I would say that people are lining up for the experience.
I love
and what I specialize in is giving people an experience. And so
it's important. I love that.
Yeah. So when people and also to I would say there's also assurance in terms of like accountability
and how you're going to show up.
Yeah, and how are you going to how I show up. So when I'm out doing catering events, people can rest assured that I'm going to show up a certain way. And then the food is just the icing on the cake. I specialize in, I like to use local. I like to use fresh. I don't use any cans. I'm really intentional about the type of food that I'm serving, and Um, and then just the overall social justice impact that I have in terms of, showing up unapologetically Black, but professional.
Exactly. That's so funny because there's so many times when I show up somewhere and you know how many times people have said to me, "Oh my God, you're on time." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?"
Right.
"Oh my
Yeah.
God, all of your staff is matching. Oh my God, your chafing dishes are so beautiful."
Right.
That kind of stuff always blew my mind. It always blows my mind still when
Right.
that happens, that they say stuff like, they can't believe that this is happening. So,
Exactly. And
yeah.
I feel like that's like, I mean, it's not an honor to receive that because I feel like we're doing something wrong, but it also feels good that I'm representing something right. But I want to see more of us in this industry show up that way. And I also want to be able to refer, because I do refer out services for other caterers and other people in the industry to, when I can't do something, but I want to know and rest assured that they're going to be able to deliver, because it is a part of my brand is to create a shared space like what you're doing as well with this platform is to create shared spaces for other people.
Absolutely. One of the things, let's talk about this. Let's talk about a catering team. Because a lot of times, so one of the things that I always share when I talk about catering, I always say, what, I started off with everybody in my family. My mama even worked when I first started. And she was out there with me at KBLX with 500 people, doing her thing. She made sure our t-shirts were done. She did all of our tablecloths. When we got done with, she said, "Give me the tablecloths and give me all your aprons, and I'm going to go home and wash them and make them fresh." My mother did it all. My kids worked while they were pregnant. Everybody in our family has worked. And then I ended up growing where, folks got tired of me and, I cannot do it, so all this happens. But I want to talk about our catering team and what a catering team looks like. I realized that when we talk about this opportunity, I did an event right before COVID hit. I was doing an event and, I wasn't going to this event. I had just overseen the food and my staff was doing the event. And this is an adorable story, but this is letting you know how it happens for you. So I did an event and my team had forgot something. And I said, "Oh, I'll bring it over to you." It was in the city. And so I got in my car, drove over, and then I walked in and everything looked so beautiful. And I was hugging and kissing everybody. And my client was like, "Oh my God, you came?" Because I had stopped going to most of my events. I was just overseeing stuff. So I stayed there with one of my staff members. I said, "Oh, I'm just going to stay here with you guys." And she looked at me and she said, "Did you look at the schedule?" And I said, "No, I didn't look at the schedule." She said, "You should have looked at the schedule. You're not on it. Go home." I was like, the bigger part about it is that I said, "Oh, okay." And I went outside, jumped in my Jaguar, and went over to Nordstrom's and shopped. And then I was there and I was like, I really have done the dang thing. So I shared that.
That must be a wonderful story. I mean, that must be a wonderful feeling.
It is I did a little cartwheel, a little skip, a little jump, I was doing my thing. But I shared that story to say that it takes a team. It takes a team and we can't do it all. And I remember when I first started catering, I felt like I had to do everything. I had to touch everything, no matter whether we were feeding 50 people, 500 people, 800 people, 1,500 people, 2,500 people. I felt like I had to touch everything. When do we let go? And then what does our team look like? Talk about it, girl.
Well, I think, I am still adjusting to not putting my hand on everything and trusting the process. And so I partnered, and hired some really good chefs to work underneath me. I really don't want to cook anymore. Like, honestly, I prefer to hire staff to do the work and just allow me to come in and see. But there's still, I always feel like it's that little tiny, something that I need to just season something or just add something. or
Or when
direct
they're
something.
gone, something I remember. Also what happens is that when they're gone, it's something we should have did this. We should have did that. And if I was there, we would have did it.
So I'm just, right now, with COVID, everything is slowed down for me. And I'm definitely creating the opportunity to reflect and to be able to be in that space where I can have enough people doing everything that needs to happen in the way that it needs to happen, and as much pre-planning ahead of time as needed to be. And so I'm so happy to have my husband as well, because he's a great partner in picking up stuff and, helping me move things around and stuff like that. And he knows what I want. So he's also another eye for me. And it's just a beautiful thing when you're set up that way. But it does take time to develop the trust, and also have, some type of training where you've talked enough around what's going to happen. But when I have like those really high end clients, I'm like, I can't let this.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, it's just too hard for me to let someone else, because your name too is attached, to the brand. And then also I had a conversation with another chef about the expectation when people hire you and you're the face of your brand. A lot of times they want to see you, the client and the people. They want to meet you. They want to see you when they give you a hug. And so you're also a part of it. But I think now what I've been doing is including that in my price. Like if I'm showing up, then that's a little bit extra, just because, people.
And you know who gave me that tip? Rene Johnson.
Yeah, I love Rene.
She made me charge a fee for coming.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? The other thing that I remember too about that, when you're growing, how I curtailed that and how I continued to grow so I would not have to go through everything, is that because I have a sales manager who does all my client stuff, and what she does is she does my menu and all that kind of stuff, and it really works out wonderful, and it takes me out of because I'm such a hugger and a kisser and a giver. So it takes me out of that place of, don't worry about that. And, don't worry about that, because that's who I am. Mm-hmm. So it takes me out of that. And the other thing that happened is that what I've learned is that if they don't get to see me, then they don't miss me so much. So all my clients that have seen me and hugged and kissed me, they all miss me. But the ones that they've done without me, they still love Blackberry Soul. They love my event manager Ngozi more than me, until they see me. But they love Ngozi. I've taught Ngozi to introduce a menu when he needs to make sure that he's standing there and make sure everything is done. But that is one of the things I've learned, is that as I've grown, because what happened for us also is that we'd have 3 or 4 events a day, and I couldn't be at all of them. So I'd have to pick my favorite, and then Ngozi would do one, and Margie would do one, or Christina would do one, and then I would have to do one. So I couldn't be at everything. But what we discovered is that when people did not experience me that way, because I'm such a, I'm a hugger and a kisser and all that, especially before COVID. Mm-hmm. So I realized, and that allowed me to even grow even more. So at that event, it was at that one event that just blew me away. That was at an event in Hunters Point, and it was just one of their community meetings, but it was all the big important people there, and they just did breakfast and some stuff, but they had it laid out. I could not believe it, and I don't know why I couldn't believe it, but that's when it hit me that day, that I was like, okay, I really have grown this business. Mm-hmm. And I think that it's important that we share those stories so people can know that it does happen. So one other thing I want to talk about before we get off of here, because we said we're going to do 30 minutes, is let's talk about some of our mishaps. What happens when it's catering? So I'm going to share one, and I want you to share one. So I am catering a wedding, 250 people, clients that are kind of, difficult. And no kitchen, no nothing, because that's the other thing that happens. We never have a kitchen.
Right.
You can be somewhere and there's no kitchens. I've been with no water. I've done a few different things, but they've been beautiful. So anyway, I'm doing this wedding, and my chef had made mashed potatoes for me, and we get there, and it was family style. So it was 3 pans of mashed potatoes, filled to the top. We get there, and I said, okay, warm the mashed potatoes up, and the mashed potatoes were bad. 3 And I was like, these mashed potatoes aren't good. And so I had to put the fire out and fix it.
I've never had a food thing. So, like with, food going bad or anything, but I remember doing a wedding for about 200 people. And the bride's mom decides, first of all, she comes 2 hours late to the wedding, and I had to serve the food before the ceremony. That's how late she was. And then she comes and she decides to do everyone's hair after waiting 2 hours. So she wanted to do someone's hair. So she wanted to do the whole wedding party's hair, and it was like 15 people. So the wedding was like 4 hours late. So we ended up having to serve the food before the ceremony. And mind you, when you're catering, you have a certain amount of food for a certain amount of time. So we had the appetizers that had to go, longer than expected. And then the tables were beautiful, but we had to serve the appetizers. Everybody left like their plates and the little napkins and stuff on top of the table. So we had to clean that all up and then serve everybody. It started off really funky. So it just threw the whole thing off. It was weird. We did have enough food, thank God. But I felt like that was a disaster. It was not to my fault, but just sometimes you walk into situations or you're catering and there's things out of your control.
Absolutely.
And so you have to figure out, like, what am I going to do? Like, how is this going to, because nobody says like, oh, the wedding started late, or, something happened with the potatoes. They're like, it's the caterer's fault.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I got to share this one with you then. I was doing a wedding, and this couple is they're my friends and family to this day. And if they see this, they're going to know I'm talking about them.
Okay.
I love them to this day. They had never been married. I think she was, maybe, I don't know, in her late 40s, and he was in his early 50s, never married, neither one of them, and no children. So we're doing their wedding, and I'm ready to, we're waiting for them to get married so we can do the appetizers and everything. So it's not happening. So I go and find the bride, and I say, hey, what's going on? She looks at me, all of her makeup on, not even crying. She said, the preacher forgot that he was supposed to marry us.
Oh my goodness.
So I said, okay, don't worry about it. What we're going to do is we're going to find somebody to do the wedding. And I said, but what we're going to do, since everybody's getting antsy, because we're an hour out already, everybody's antsy, I'm going to feed everybody the appetizers. And then what we'll do is we'll have the wedding. So I go outside and I grab the mic and I tell everybody, thank you so much for coming. I tell them, you guys look so beautiful. You guys are representing them so well, but we're having a little issue. Anybody know a pastor? We need one quickly. And everybody was like, what? I said, so I'm going to feed you guys while we find a pastor. So everybody picked up their phones. There happened to be a pastor that was out to dinner with his wife that was not far away. They hurried up at 8. They ran in and married my couple.
Aww.
After they got married, the pastor that was supposed to marry them came in, and they were so graceful and so wonderful. They allowed him to pray over them still. And we had a throw down, shake your groove thing wedding.
Aww.
I had to step in and say, listen, you guys, I'm about to feed you. I need you to pick up your phones. We need to find a pastor. And that's how it went down.
So you were the saving grace of the day. That's a beautiful story. And it was a great ending.
It was a beautiful ending.
Yeah. I think with the wedding that I shared turned out to be nice too. People, were accommodating and just kind of, rolled with the flow. It was a younger couple. Um, but I wasn't feeling good about it because we had a year that we planned this wedding and everything was written down to the T in terms of, the timing and all of this other stuff. And so when things don't go right, then it's kind of like you do have to step in with like you did and say, this is what we're going to do, kind of managing, because I think, as a caterer, when you're feeding people, you also become almost like a friend, a sister, a mother figure, Yeah.
And to know that, and especially during a wedding, they're going to remember the food, the dress, the cake, and the DJ. They're not worried about the favors. They're not worried about none of that stuff.
Right.
The food, the dress, the cake, and the DJ.
And the drinks.
Oh, and the drinks.
People wonder if you don't have no drinks, they
and the drinks.
Yeah.
So we're gonna wrap it up. I want to say, so next week, let's talk about clients, how to find our perfect client, how to work with our client's budget, and also how to make sure we meet all of our clients' expectations. That's what we're going to talk about next week. Are you good with that?
Sounds good. Sounds good.
This was so good. I'm so impressed with you.
Aw, thank you. As well.
Yes. Okay, let's wrap it up. We will see you guys next week. We thank you guys for joining us. This is an exciting platform. And it's Chef Rene and Chef Mimi talking about catering and entrepreneurship and what that looks like, the business side of it, not so much the food.
Bye. Thank you, Chef.
Throw me a kiss. Bye.
Bye.
Oh, wait a minute. Let's do this before we get out of here. Let's make sure we tell everybody where to find us. You go first, Mimi.
Oh, you can find me on Facebook, Bringing It to the Table Show, or Chef Mimi. And you can also find me on Instagram at IamChefMimi. And I'm also on LinkedIn at Chef Mimi. So, yeah, look for me, Google me, look me up. I'm available.
Okay.
Oh, my website, too. My website is thechefmimi.com.
Oh, good. Okay, and mine, you can find Rene at Blackberrysoulrene. You can find me, that's Facebook. My Instagram is Blackberrysoulrene as well. My LinkedIn is Chef Rene Johnson, and my YouTube channel, which is fabulous. I share a lot of vegan soul food recipes, is Chef Rene Johnson.
Another thing we could do is also just have them go to our link tree. Or you have a link tree?
Yes.
Then they can find everything. You can find everything on the link.
Oh, and I have a link tree, Chef Rene Johnson. Yeah. And you know what? I do want to thank all of you guys so much for watching us. And we really want to see you guys next time as well.
Thank you, everyone, for watching. We're so excited. Thank you, Chef Rene, for having me. This is wonderful. Black girl magic, everything. Let's go.
Bye, sunshine. I'll talk to you later.
All right. Bye.